Welcome to Aurora Travel Explorer. Do you think Russia is all about white snow, vodka, and bears? Get ready, because today you'll discover 15 quirky, goofy, yet incredibly fascinating things that can only happen in the land of birch trees. Number 15. The Moscow Metro, a royal palace beneath the ground. In most countries, the subway is somewhere people want to get in and out of as quickly as possible due to cramped space, artificial lighting, and the notorious smell of rush hour. But in Moscow, you'll actually want to ride slowly and even. Stop at stations just to look around. That's because the capital's metro system is known as the Underground Palace, one of the most beautiful subways in the world. Opened in 1935, the Moscow Metro is not just a transportation system, but a colossal work of art, a place where architecture, sculpture, painting, and even political propaganda come together. Each station has its own unique theme. Some are inspired by Russian folklore, some honor the working class, some depict the Great Patriotic War, and others resemble the grand halls of the Romanov palaces. You'll encounter sparkling crystal chandeliers, pristine white marble columns, intricate wall mosaics, exquisitely painted ceilings, and towering bronze statues of workers, farmers, and soldiers, all giving the impression that you're in a national art museum, not just waiting for the next train. Some standout stations include Komsomolskaya, with its golden domes, Mayakovskaya, with futuristic Art Deco design, and Ploshchad Revolyutsiy, with bronze statues that locals rub on the nose, hands, or feet every day for good luck. Number 14. Russian salad isn't actually Russian? A surprising culinary twist. Have you ever eaten Russian salad with potatoes, carrots, eggs, green peas, and creamy mayonnaise? Of course, it's a popular dish at parties across Europe and Asia, and many people mistakenly think it's a national delicacy of Russia. But the truth is, Russians don't even call it Russian salad. Its original name in Russia is salad Olivier, named after the Belgian-French chef Lucien Olivier, who created the recipe in the late 19th century at the luxurious Hermitage restaurant in Moscow. However, the original version of the dish was much more extravagant and quite different. It included grouse meat, caviar, veal tongue, pickles, shrimp, potatoes, and a secret signature sauce. Interestingly, Russians don't consider it a national treasure dish. For them, it's just a cold salad commonly served during New Year, no different than banchan during Tet in Vietnam. In fact, many Russians are tired of seeing it year after year. Number 13. Giant Computer Keyboard Monument, a quirky tech pride. When you think of monuments, you might imagine great historical figures, equestrian statues, warriors, or at least a solemn cultural symbol. But in Russia, specifically in the city of Yekaterinburg, they've built something that every computer geek would drool over. A massive monument modeled after a QWERTY keyboard, made entirely of stone. This unique installation lies along the Iset River and consists of a total of 104 granite blocks, each representing a giant key nearly half a meter long, mimicking the exact layout of a standard computer keyboard. The keys are arranged on a grassy field like a giant version of the familiar keyboard, with the Enter key large enough for you to jump on and stand. It's not just a display piece. Locals and tourists also whisper about a lucky trick. If you step on the combination Ctrl plus Alt plus Del with your feet, all your life problems will be reset. Of course, it's a joke, but thousands of people come here every year just to try it and take check-in photos like they've stepped into an exaggerated virtual world. This monument was created in 2005, originally as a fun idea by artist Anatoly Vyatkin, but over time, it became a symbolic attraction, affectionately known as Russia's national keyboard. Number 12. Black cats? No problem. But turning back mid-trip? A big bad omen. While many cultures consider black cats a bad omen, Russians are actually quite relaxed about them. You might see a black cat crossing the road, sitting in a house, or napping on a windowsill, and no one bats an eye. To Russians, cats, no matter their color, bring good luck if they approach you on their own. But there's one thing they're extremely superstitious about, even more than black cats, and that is turning back in the middle of a journey because you forgot something. In Russian folk belief, if you're on your way somewhere and have to return home to retrieve something, it's a major bad sign. Your trip is believed to be cursed with delays, complications, or unfortunate events. Especially if you've just stepped out the door and already turned back. That's a serious spiritual offense. But Russians also have a way to neutralize the bad luck. If you must go back, look into a mirror inside your home and smile at yourself. This act is seen as a way to distract misfortune and sever the negative energy trail caused by turning back. In many Russian homes, you'll find a mirror hung right by the front door, not just to check your outfit, but also as a protective charm to ease the mind if someone has to return mid-trip. Some people even tap the mirror or whisper a short blessing to enhance its effect. Number 11. The sport of face-slapping showdowns, painful but dead serious. In Russia, where the cold can freeze emotions and vodka is drunk like water, there's a sport that sounds like a joke, but is entirely real: slap fighting, also jokingly called face-slapping arm wrestling. In this competition, two muscular men stand face to face and take turns slapping each other with full force until one collapses or gives up. The rules are simple. No dodging, no blocking, no counterattacks. The person being slapped must stand still and take the hit, while the slapper must deliver a clean, technically correct strike to a designated spot on the opponent's face. After each slap, referees check the condition of the receiver, and if they're still conscious, the match continues. Whoever drops or can't go on loses. It may sound brutal, but this sport is very professionally organized in Russia, with national tournaments, professional referees, commentators, roaring spectators, and even live television broadcasts. Some slap fighters are so famous they have fan bases rivaling MMA stars. Each slap echoes like thunder. Faces turn red. The crowd erupts, creating a tension-filled atmosphere like a boxing match, minus the punching and kicking. Russians see this as a test of endurance and mental toughness, not just a violent pastime. And of course, it's not for the faint of heart. Number 10. Russians greet each other. Without smiling, the closer you are, the more serious the face. If you're visiting Russia for the first time and notice that the locals seem cold, serious, and rarely smile, don't worry that you've done something wrong. Because in Russia, not smiling doesn't mean anger. It simply means politeness. Russian culture views smiling at strangers as a sign of insincerity or a lack of seriousness. Russians believe that a smile should be reserved for truly joyful moments, and for people they're close to, a smile without reason, such as a flattering smile, a polite smile, or a forced one, is seen as empty and might even make others suspicious that something is wrong with you. On the street, in supermarkets, or on the metro, you'll see very few people smiling at strangers. Even when greeting, shaking hands, or asking for directions, their facial expressions remain serious, as if dealing with something important. In fact, there's a famous saying in Russia: smiling for no reason is a sign of foolishness. But don't mistake this for unfriendliness. On the contrary, once Russians trust you and open up, you'll witness some of the warmest and most genuine smiles imaginable. Number 9. In Russia, never give an even number of flowers. It might be a deadly curse. If you're dating a Russian girl and want to impress her with a beautiful bouquet, remember one crucial rule. Only give an odd number of flowers. Whether it's 1, 3, 5, or 99 blooms, it must be odd. If you mistakenly bring 2 or 4 flowers, you're in big trouble. In Russia, even numbers of flowers symbolize mourning and death, and are typically reserved for funerals or grave offerings. This custom is deeply rooted in Russian culture for centuries, to the point where giving someone an even-numbered bouquet, even accidentally, might earn you a stare colder than a Siberian winter. To them, it's not just ignorance, but potentially a bad omen or an unconscious curse. That's why in Russian flower shops, staff always carefully count the blooms when making a bouquet, and if you're a foreigner, they'll warn you explicitly. Odd number, okay? This rule is so well known that it has led to many awkward and humorous situations involving clueless tourists bringing flowers only to be flatly rejected with a chilling comment, "Are you wishing me an early departure?" Number 8. Brides get kidnapped at Russian weddings, a hilarious tradition full of fun. In Russia, weddings aren't just solemn ceremonies or grand parties, they're also a playground for organized pranks. One of the strangest and funniest customs is the tradition of kidnapping the bride. No, it's not a crime scene or an action movie. It's part of the wedding rituals that makes the groom sweat to ransom his bride. During the wedding reception, the bride will suddenly disappear. In fact, she's secretly kidnapped by her friends and taken to another room, often upstairs or nearby. The groom's mission? Find where the bride is hiding and pay a ransom in the form of vodka, cash, or a humorous performance like singing, dancing, or reciting poetry. Many grooms have ended up dancing wildly in front of the crowd or being challenged with tricky questions like, "What's your wife's favorite dish? What's her shoe size?" Answer wrong, and you'll have to pay more. This game isn't just for laughs. It symbolizes the groom's dedication and appreciation for his future wife. Though the ritual may seem like a bit of light trolling, it's the part that makes Russian weddings feel lively, intimate, and full of laughter. Number 7. Living in the coldest inhabited place on Earth, still going to school as usual. Welcome to Yakut, the coldest city on the planet, with a permanent population where winter isn't measured in months, but in half a year. With temperatures regularly dropping below minus 40 degrees Celsius and having once reached the record of minus 67 degrees Celsius, your breath can freeze in just seconds. Your phone might stop working if not kept warm, and boiling water thrown into the air instantly turns into snow midair. However, what truly astonishes the world isn't just the extreme cold, but the incredible resilience of the people living here, especially children. In Yakutsk, students still go to class as usual, even when it's so cold that touching metal with bare skin causes it to stick instantly. Only when the temperature drops below minus 52 degrees Celsius with strong winds will schools consider closing, and even then, it's often a tough decision. Children are bundled up like astronauts, with only their eyes peeking out from layers of thick wool scarves. Yet, what's admirable is that they don't complain or whine because to the Yakutians, living with the cold is as normal as having breakfast. Even livestock and vehicles have special systems to prevent freezing. Many families have to keep their cars running all night, otherwise, by morning, it might hibernate until spring. To the world, Yakutsk is a survival challenge. But for the Russians who live there, it's just daily life. They're not afraid of the cold. They are the embodiment of extraordinary adaptation. And sometimes, a classroom in Yakutsk can be a lesson in perseverance greater than any textbook. Number 6. Eating ice cream in winter. To avoid catching a cold. Sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? While you're shivering in a thick fur coat in minus 15 degrees Celsius weather, across the street, a Russian is leisurely eating ice cream. This isn't a joke or a social media stunt, but a real and widespread habit in the land of birch trees. Eating ice cream in the freezing winter. What's interesting is that they don't do it for fun or to be weird, but because of a rather scientific belief in their view. If your body gets used to the cold from the inside, your immunity will improve, helping you avoid catching colds. In cities like Moscow or Novosibirsk, ice cream stands remain open during winter, and it's not uncommon to see kids holding cones, cheeks flushed red, grinning brightly in the frosty wind. For Russians, eating ice cream in cold weather isn't anti-science, it's a method of training the immune system. Just like ice bathing, consuming cold things in cold conditions helps the body gradually adapt, instead of being shocked by temperature changes. In fact, many Russian parents encourage their children to eat ice cream during winter as a kind of natural vaccine. And you know what the best part is? Winter ice cream in Russia doesn't melt. You can take your time, savor each bite, without worrying it'll turn into a puddle like it would in summer. Number 5. Vodka, the all-purpose elixir. In Russia, vodka is not just an alcoholic drink, it's an entire culture. For Russians, vodka is present in every moment of life. In joy, in sorrow, in meetings, at farewells, during weddings, funerals, and New Year's celebrations, there's always a bottle of vodka on the table. But what turns vodka into a legendary multi-tool is how Russians use it beyond just drinking. Sore throat? Drink a bit of vodka. Got a cold? Drink more. Scraped your hand? Use vodka to disinfect the wound. Dirty kitchen? Vodka makes a great cleaning solution. Too cold outside? Take a shot to warm the belly. Ask any Russian about the uses of vodka, and they can list dozens from healing, disinfecting, and cleaning to boosting your spirits. Vodka is even seen as a unique form of greeting. If you're visiting someone's home and they offer you a shot of vodka, it means you're considered family. And if you refuse, oh no, they might think you're sad or seriously ill. People often joke. In Russia, if you ask for water, the host might point to a bottle of vodka and say, "That's water already." And strangely enough, they're completely serious. You could say that vodka doesn't just flow through shot glasses, it flows through the very veins of Russian culture. Number 4. Chess. On a bear's back? If you think owning dogs or cats is normal, then in Russia people take it much further. Bears have long been a cultural symbol of Russia, but what makes the whole world tip their hats is how Russians turn bears into true companions. On social media, there's no shortage of viral videos showing Russians playing chess with bears, walking them on leashes, working out together, or even practicing martial arts with them, and the most shocking part is, these bears are genuinely cooperative. Some owners raise bears from a young age like household pets. Adult bears weighing hundreds of kilos are dressed in shirts, wear baseball caps, and sit properly in front of the chessboard like real chess masters. Of course, most of these scenes are humorous and conducted by professional trainers, but they still showcase the strange relationship between humans and Russia's symbolic animal. In a country where you might witness someone playing chess with a bear as if they were having afternoon tea, the definition of best friend has clearly reached a whole new level. To Russians, bears are not just wild animals, they are comrades, drinking buddies, and sometimes legit chess partners. A Russia like no other, in both the literal and figurative sense. Number 3. Real bears once served in the military. It might sound like a fairy tale, but this is a 100% true story from the history of the Russian and Polish military. During World War II, a unit of the Soviet Red Army adopted an orphan bear cub and named him Wojtek, which means happy warrior in Polish. Initially just a trench pet, Wojtek quickly became an irreplaceable part of the unit's morale. But what made this bear legendary was his actual role as a logistics soldier. Wojtek was trained to carry heavy artillery crates from trucks to the front lines, and he did it with impressive skill. This guard bear not only walked on two legs like a human, but also saluted sentries and didn't flinch at the sound of bombs. So impressed was the Army by Wojtek's military service that they officially ranked him as a private and issued him a soldier's service number. After the war, Wojtek was sent to Edinburgh Zoo in Scotland, where he lived out the rest of his life as a peacetime hero. Today, statues of Wojtek can be found in places like Krakow, Poland, Edinburgh, and London, commemorating one of the most unique soldier bears in human history. A perfect testament to the saying, in Russia, anything is possible, even bears joining the army. And unforgettable. Number 2. Ice bathing in winter, the secret to mental health. In Russia, when outdoor temperatures drop to minus 20 degrees Celsius or even minus 30 degrees Celsius, the last thing you'd expect is someone in swimwear, breaking through ice and getting ready to dive into a lake. The tradition of ice bathing, also known as cold water swimming, is not just a thrill-seeking activity, but is viewed by Russians as a method to train both body and mind. They believe that immersing oneself for a few minutes in icy water, as sharp as needles, helps boost the immune system, improve blood circulation, eliminate stress, and refresh the soul. Every year, during the Epiphany celebration, Millions of Russians, from children to the elderly, line up to bathe in cross-shaped holes carved into frozen lakes, even while surrounded by thick snow and ice. Many even do this weekly as a personal ritual. A common sight. They emerge from the freezing water, skin flushed red, breath visible in the air, but grinning brightly as if recharged with life energy. You might think they're crazy, but Russians believe that to have a strong mind, one must first dare to face extreme cold, because if you can conquer nature's harshness, then nothing in life can bring you down. Number 1. Russian women naturally model-grade beauty. When people mention Russia, beyond the white snow, vodka, and magnificent architecture, one thing that amazes the world is the beauty of Russian women. Russia is known as the country with the highest proportion of naturally beautiful women in the world. And that's no exaggeration. Thanks to a genetic blend from Eastern Europe, Northern Europe, and Eurasia, Russian women possess uniquely harmonious features. Porcelain-like fair skin, deep and expressive eyes, a slim and high nose, sharp cheekbones, a delicate face, and a tall, slender figure, a true model standard without the need for heavy makeup. Not only are they naturally beautiful, but Russian women also know how to maintain and enhance their looks. They believe that stepping out in public means one should be well-groomed, whether going to the market, to work, or just out for a walk. That's why, in major cities like Moscow or St. Petersburg, it's easy to spot young women dressed fashionably, wearing light yet sophisticated makeup, exuding confidence as if walking on a catwalk. People often joke that just sitting in a park or riding the subway in Russia feels like watching a real-life fashion show. Their beauty is not loud or forced. It is elegant, powerful, and full of charisma. It's a kind of cool allure, a signature of the birch tree land. Seductive, proud, and just like that, we've explored 15 strange, humorous, yet deeply cultural facts about Russia, where bears can play chess, vodka is used to clean your kitchen, and the subway looks like a royal palace. Which fact impressed you the most? Ice bathing in winter, the giant keyboard monument, or the fact that Russian salad isn't even Russian? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like the video and share it if you want to continue exploring more of the world's most unique countries with us. See you on the next adventure.